Good morning. I think I'm live. Almost here. Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm live on both platforms. Good morning. I'm Tony Taylor, and I'm here to share my devotion, to pray with you, and to share gratitude on this yucky Monday morning. Today is February the 15th, and I am glad to be here. Oh Lord, let my soul rise up to meet you as the day rises to meet the sun. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us shout for joy to the rock of our salvation. I'm going to be reading the Psalm from the Book of Common Prayer this morning, a liturgy for ordinary radicals. Good morning, Rhonda Gillum. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Loney. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you this morning. Good morning, Mom and Tracy and Pinehurst. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you this morning. So glad that you're here. This is the Psalm 78, 69 through 72. He built his sanctuary with like the heights of heaven, like the earth which he founded forever. He chose David, his servant, and took him away from the sheepfolds. He brought him from following the ewes to be a shepherd over Jacob, his people, and over Israel, his inheritance. So he shepherded them with a faithful and true heart and guided them with the skillfulness of his hands. Shepherd us, Lord, with a faithful heart and guide us in the way of truth. Shepherd us, Lord, with a grateful heart and guide us in the way of truth. Shepherd us, Lord. Good morning, Betty. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Kevin. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Praying for you. I hope everybody had a great weekend and a happy Valentine's Day. I'm not a great big Valentine's person. I think you need to love everybody all year long. It seems a little too commercial anymore these days, but I did make a great dark chocolate raspberry cake for us for Valentine's. I was needing a really good chocolate fix, and Tracy had a chocolate raspberry cake for her birthday in January, and I could not get it out of my mind. I wanted one. I wanted that chocolate raspberry cake. So Martha Stewart and I made one, and it was delicious. Delicious. I had to put it out on the back porch on the table in a glass cover so that I wouldn't go out there to get in it anymore. Last night, I lost my place here. We're in Genesis again. Genesis, we're going to read 31, 25 through 50. And we're continuing where we left off. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Some people I know, Richmond, all that area got a lot of snow. Even up in the mountains of North Carolina and South Carolina got snow. Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives of war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your father said to me, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the two female servants, and he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent, but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." So he searched, but could not find the household gods. Well, Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself. And you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime and the cold at night, and sleep fled my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would have surely sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you." Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, "Gather those stones." So that they took stones and piled them high in a heap. They ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Gilead. Laban said, "This heap is a witness because between you and me today. This is why it is called Gilead. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, 'May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me.'" So Rachel was hiding the gods, the household gods. And Laban came looking for him and insulted Jacob and took great time to search everything. Obviously didn't believe him. Upset that Jacob had left like that and taken his daughters out. And I imagine, just like you or I, that would upset us to the point that we would almost believe anything. Good morning, Allison Aiken. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Linda McKenzie. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. I think that at this time, it was culture to keep household gods in a box or some kind of a container. And they would go to the gods and ask for advice or something. So I remember, so in thinking about Rachel and why she took the gods, maybe she felt like that she would have an advantage having the gods with her in this new place. Jacob felt so strongly that nobody that he had would take those gods that he had no idea that Rachel would do that. None. And, when Jacob was telling Laban about all he'd done over all those years, it showed me that he not only did what was expected, but he did more. He went to the farthest degree, or not only did he bring animals, but he gave him the best animals, none that were damaged. So in Jacob's value set, he would never take something that wasn't his. No matter of fact, if you ask him for something, he would give you more than you expected. So for Jacob's value set, it would not even occur to him that Rachel would take something that was not hers to take. And Jacob was quite offended that anyone would think that he would take something because of all of the behaviors that had gone before with his character. And little did he know, and great character in this story. And that's what I took away from it. And now we're going to go into Hebrews. Let's see who else is here this morning. Good morning, Betty Dalton. I am so glad you're here today and praying for you this morning. I hope you are doing well and your doctor's appointments went well. In Hebrews, we're going to be on chapter 7. And in looking at this, we haven't read any of Hebrews, I guess, in a long time. So we're starting with chapter 7, and we're doing 1 through 28. And in this section, it's we're going to be looking at a holy place and a most holy place. The Melchizedek, the king of Salem and the priest of God Most High, he met Abraham returning from the defeat of the kings and blessed him. And Abraham gave him 1/10 of everything. First, the name Melchizedek means king of righteousness. Then also king of Salem means king of peace. Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, resembling the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. Just think how great he was. Even the patriarch Abraham gave him 1/10 of his plunder. Now that the law requires the descendants of Levi who become priests to collect 1/10 from the people, that is, from their fellow Israelites, even though they are descended from Abraham. This man, however, did not trace his descendant from Levi, yet he collected 1/10 from Abraham and blessed him who had the promises. And without doubt, the lesser is blessed by the greater, and in one case, 1/10 is collected by people who die, and in the other case by him who was declared to be living. One might even say that Levi, who collects 1/10, paid 1/10 through Abraham. Because when Melchizedek met Abraham, Levi was still in the body of his ancestor. If perfection could have been attained through the Levitical priesthood, and indeed the law given to the people established that priesthood, why was there still need for another priest to come? One in the order of Melchizedek not in the order of Aaron. For when the priesthood is changed, the law must be changed also. He of whom these things are said belonged to a different tribe, and no one from that tribe has ever served at the altar. For it is clear that our God descended from Judah, and in regard to that tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. And what he had said is even more clear if another priest like Melchizedek appears, one who has become a priest, not on the basis of a regulation as to his ancestry, but to the basis of the power of an indestructible life. For it is declared, you are priests forever in the order of Melchizedek. And the former regulation is set aside because it was weak and useless. For the law made nothing perfect, and a better hope is introduced, by which we draw near to God. And it was not without an oath. Others became priests without an oath, but he became a priest with an oath when God said to him, "The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever." Because of this oath, Jesus has become the grantor of a better covenant. Now, there have been many of these priests since death prevented them from continuing in office. But because Jesus lives forever, he has a permanent priesthood. Therefore, he is able to save completely those who come to God through him, because he always lives to intercede for them. Such a high priest truly meets our need, one who is holy, blameless, pure, and set apart from sinners, exalted above the heavens. Unlike the other high priest, he does not need to offer sacrifices day after day, first for his own sins and then for the sins of the people. He sacrificed for their sins, since for all, when he offered himself. For the law appoints as high priests men in all their weaknesses, but the oath, which came after the law, appointed the Son, who has been made perfect forever. Well, I don't know about you, but that was really confusing, all the back and forth about the priests. But in studying and going back and looking at it, what I'm taking out of this is that the law here that had priests that held it, was really not intended to save people or even to get people to be perfect, but to point out sin, to show sin. And that salvation comes through Christ. So that's a different kind of priesthood than somebody that stands between you and God and answers your prayers or takes your prayer to God, and is holding you accountable to the law and you bring offerings to. Christ is a different, he has a permanent priesthood to offer us salvation. So all of this was really confusing to read, but this is what the nugget that I took out of it. Because the Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever. You are a priest forever. And he acknowledges that the priests here are men and weak, but Jesus is a priest forever. And he's able to save us. He is always able to intercede. So that's the kind of high priest we need. One that is with us wherever we are, and we don't have to go somewhere to take an offering or to ask for a person to go to God for us. And that is the new covenant, the new oath, and a whole different way of thinking about faith and what is right and what is wrong and how do you atone for your sins. So the new covenant is greater than the old covenant. The old covenant was trying the law to help us know how to live and what was good and what was bad. It got a little carried away with so many laws that you didn't even know all of them or couldn't follow. I guess that would be the old Jewish system. And so much of what I read, even though it was confusing back and forth, I wrote down that it appears through reading this that it erases everything before. It erases for salvation. Nothing you can do can improve getting you in to heaven. But it acknowledges what the Old Testament was for, and that was to be a guide on how to live. And it's very simple. Jesus is with us all the time, and we don't have to go somewhere else. And that's pretty powerful, pretty powerful. Good morning. Good morning, Lorraine. Good morning. We're praying for Scott Dorset on a ventilator. Lord, in your mercy, we're lifting up Scott Dorset. Lord, breathe your life into his lungs. Bring your breath of life into his lungs, Lord. Help him fight. Give him courage and strength, Lord. Be with the doctors and nurses who are attending him to give him the right treatment, Lord. In your mercy, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. I didn't know if anybody would show up this morning because it's a holiday, President's Day. And I'm so thankful that you're here. And I really do appreciate that this morning. So glad that you are here. I am most grateful that we have a new covenant. We have a covenant that is not bound up in laws that are so many that we couldn't remember them all. And that there's hope and faith in our future and our relationship. And it is about the relationship and not about the rules and the laws. And I am grateful. I am grateful for that. It lifts a burden, a yoke from us. In this reading today of Jacob, of such high character, and here of looking at Jesus as the royal priesthood and the true priesthood. And it is such a positive and life-giving covenant for us. And we all have fears and we all have things to be anxious about. But in knowing that we have someone who is always with us, I hope that each of you had an opportunity over the weekend to show gratitude in some way, to be grateful. And I hope that today, on this President's Day, that we can find an opportunity to show gratitude to someone and to share our love and focus on the good things. Focus on what we have instead of what we do not have. When we focus on what we have, we're focusing on abundance, and that is what we were given. Is anytime we look around, we can focus on what we have been given, that none of it that we deserve, and not focus on what we're missing. Even when you ask the most poor, the most people who have lost the most, you can truly see their heart when they say, I am so grateful for, and they talk about their families, or they talk about their faith in times of such trouble, and not about the horrible things that have happened to them, the poverty that they're in, the sickness that they may have. They always find hope, and they always find something to be grateful for. And that is something that always, when you hear people's story, it is something that lifts you up. When you hear someone who has it so far worse than you do, and they're able to lift up gratitude. Thank you, Rhonda Gillum. Thank you. I want you to, as I think all the kids are off today, and to think about how we can be grateful for all of the folks that are on the front lines, to be grateful for and acknowledge the folks who are doing vaccines and in the hospitals. Acknowledge our teachers and our clergy. Reach out to somebody today and tell them thank you and that you're grateful for them. In some way, shoot an email, a text, let them know that you are grateful for them. It may be one thing today that makes a difference in the outcome of their day. It sure might. I'm going to close this with a prayer this morning. This is a 4th century monk and bishop. His name was Basil of Caesarea. Wrote, "I cannot persuade myself that without love to others and without, as far as rests with me, peaceableness toward all, I'm sorry. I cannot persuade myself that without love to others and without, as far as rests with me, peaceableness towards all, I can be called a worthy servant of Jesus Christ." That was a tongue twister, and peaceableness was a tough one for me to say. Lord, reconcile us to know you anew each morning, so that we might know what a fearful and wonderful thing it is to be reconciled with one another. May the peace of Lord Christ go with you wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors. Once again into our doors. I want to lift up my sister Sue as she continues to recover, that her body will heal and there will not need to be surgery this Thursday. So I'm praying that Sue's skin and body continues to heal in such a way that she will not be required to have surgery on Thursday, and that she will remain positive in this time of waiting. I love you all. Thank you for being here with me on this President's Day. Happy holiday. Enjoy the day off. Share your gratitude with someone today. It may be the one thing that gets them through the day. I will see you tomorrow at 8:30. Bye, Mom and Tracy and Pinehurst. Goodbye, Betty Dalton. I hope you have a blessed day, all of you. Bye.